prosperity, empowering your path to funding success. And the Clayton County Library System organized a program entitled the Future Grants from Pen to Prosperity. And this program aims to provide individuals with the necessary knowledge and skills to secure funding for the entrepreneur endeavors and nonprofit projects. So Rosalind led an experienced grant writer, got a chance to conduct this class, and we had about 40 participants, and this was very successful. As you can see, we are really hiring, and so at this moment, we have minimum vacancies. We have a custodial position for 3 of our locations. For our youth services and our adult services, we had a total of 231 programs were conducted by the adult services team for the month of March. And this totaled 4,386 participants. And so this was a really big number. We had a lot of programs going on for Women's History Month, for Easter, and for just big events, that we wanted to promote. The Youth Services Department conducted 167 programs, and there were a total of 3,535 participants. So this was very successful. And as you can see, we are really promoting on our social media the different events, as well as there was a tribute to Women's History Month. So you got a chance to see influential women, very diverse, inclusive of all, promoted by the Clayton County Library System. And even though we know we can't promote all, we tried to make sure that we wanted to highlight and just honor those women. And so we were very thankful for that. We had a lot of events going on, and so you can see that now we have really started to advertise, really started to promote, and we're seeing a lot of numbers on our flyers. We're seeing a lot of people visiting our website. And so we had a really good month, and so that's it for my report. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to touch on the website that you spoke about.
Yes.
I noticed that we have an increase in our social media account from January 23 to February 24. We went from 7,800 up to 11,000 now. For the month of March, we went all the way up to 11,000 individuals that actually touched on the social media page. So that, Instagram, and so forth. I mean, I think that the library and its staff is doing a remarkable job by promoting our endeavors to reach those citizens out there and let them know exactly what we are doing here within Clayton County. So, keep the good work up on that one.
Thank you very much. And we have definitely seen an uptick in programs, in participants, and we're very excited about it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So now the director's report.
And you will see that it is contained in the same document. So what we really are trying to do is to streamline, to build in more efficiencies. And so as all of the ADs and virtual services staff and financial literacy coordinator would submit separate reports that you all would have to filter through and read through. And this one hadn't been uploaded. So we're like, you know what? One report will contain the elements from everyone's highlights for the month. And so again, in one place, you can see pretty much the activity that all of those members of the administrative team have submitted. So I would like to try to continue that moving forward up through at least about June. And what I'm going to do is ask the other administrators to continue to submit their separate report up to June. And then after June, the one director's report will have all of the elements from their reports, if that's acceptable to you all.
Okay, it is.
Great. And again, streamlining, trying to be more efficient. And again, I know you have busy lives outside of this, and so I think it would just be helpful all around to have one document with all the elements that you need for that one.
Yes.
Yes, that's much appreciated.
Right.
And I see
A lot of
everyone
headshots.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful,
Thank you
wonderful.
for that.
A couple of things real quick that I would like to highlight as far as my report are, has anyone been to the Riverdale Lab lately? Riverdale Library?
Yes.
So we, a while back, had a glass enclosure around the space that we were creating a computer lab. And we finally got completion to the lab like a week or two ago. Finally got all of the computers online, the printer online, copier online. The big smart board has been installed in the room, and it looks fantastic, and it's ready to go. So we are very happy about bringing completion to that. The Northwest Library, which we are currently here, if you have a chance at the end of the meeting, if you look out this back window, you'll see a pavilion that has been erected. And going out that back door, we have now installed security gates. So once we are able to utilize the pavilion, folks can exit that door, go to the pavilion, come back through. We'll have it gated off. And so we are adding another layer of security for folks who want to utilize that pavilion. It's not on here, but I do have some more good news regarding the Riverdale Library. You may be aware that several years ago, we received funding to have the courtyard renovated. We finally got pushed through and now have some movement to where that project can begin. The accounts have been opened up. We've already selected an architect, and we should begin work on that project very soon as well. So very excited to have that. Some of the partnerships, a couple that I want to mention and a couple that are on the agenda for tonight. We have a revised MOU for the Friends of the Library, doing business as Friends of Literacy. And we also have some documentation on the foundation for Clayton County Library System. So you should have all received that earlier today. Great. Two additional ones that we don't have completion yet are the mobile lab for the workforce development, and we're still waiting on the summer food program MOU. As part of the summer food program MOU, they had asked if we could provide documentation on fire inspections for every location before they could move forward. So we're working with the fire department to get that documentation for all of the branches. Once we submit that, they also requested that we present an occupancy level document. So we are gathering all those documents, and we will be submitting it to the vendor partner who we've selected, and then we should be able to move forward with that MOU. So we're looking very much forward to that. We have some conferences coming up, conferences that just returned from. I went to the Public Library Association Conference in Columbus, Ohio with Mr. Richard Coleman, who's the AD for Brand Services. Very well attended conference, learned a lot. Ms. Stanley and Ms. Elby actually will be going to Portland in May for another conference. The directors meeting is coming up in South Georgia in a few weeks. I've got another directors meeting in Los Angeles mid-May. So we're out there, and it's been one of my intentions to not only raise the awareness and the notoriety of Clayton County and Georgia, but nationwide. And so I have aligned myself with several national and national organizations, and I'm in the thick of it, rubbing elbows, and they don't know Clayton County. They don't know Clayton County.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I wanted to highlight this evening. Are there any questions, any comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I guess question as well. As you just stated, you and your staff are doing a tremendous amount of work and increasing our footprint, not only in the county, but surrounding areas in the state. And I just think back to when we was at the state capitol and those other libraries was receiving recognition.
Yes.
I just want to know if you can remind me, what is the criteria for receiving those recognitions that they received at the state capitol? In my opinion, we're doing much greater work than they are.
Very good question. And what I can do is send out the packet that I received from the state library last year, when it was that time to submit votes for the different award winners. I think one is the Director of the Year, Library Supporter, and there was one other category that escapes me right now, but I can definitely send that out to the body. They have not called for applications or for testimonials, but I think it would help if you had that documentation up front. We can get ahead of the curve on that. But yes,
Thank you.
most definitely.
And to go along with that, Mr. Director, we are the talk of a lot of spaces. A friend of mine who is in South Georgia said, when he goes down there and to the libraries and said, well, where are you from? I'm from Clayton County. Oh, that system up there is awesome.
Nice.
We're doing things like Trustee Andrew said, we're doing things people hadn't thought about yet.
Yes.
Yeah, so
And we will-
I commend you and your staff.
Thank you.
My heart bleeds, okay?
Thank you.
Well, I do have a question.
Yes.
In pertaining to what Trustee Andrews said, and what Trustee Harrison just touched on. On the state level, is there a particular website or something that anyone can go to see exactly what each library on the Pines is doing?
When you say what they're doing in terms
As far
of
as
circulation,
Yeah, circulation as
or-
far as positive, everything that's positive.
the state library has, from time to time, different, I'll say feel-good stories about things that the libraries are doing. But outside of that, I don't think there's one location or one site where you can see collectively everything that all the Pines libraries are doing as far as programs. I think what we may need to do is to not bombard, but submit multiple times to GPLS some of the good things that we are doing and kind of see. So I think, we will definitely get together and put a strategy together, because we don't want to make enemies by, just bombarding them.
Right.
But we do want to make sure that we're on their radar.
If nothing less, see can we get us on PBS?
Okay. Mistake.
I mean, being on PBS, I think that's a good deal.
Very good. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other comments or questions, concerns?
All right, so hearing no comments, we can go ahead and move on to the financial report again for the information purposes.
Correct. And are there any questions regarding the finances? We have received information from county about deadlines for spending that will be in the next less than 2 weeks. We have plans in place for all of the branches to expend their remaining funds. We're on target, and I think we will be just fine.
And this is to close out the fiscal year.
Close out the fiscal year for the county. The state grant, you will see we have salaries. We do have some books and materials that, again, we can expend by that time frame. The state monies, it's on a different time frame, June 30th, so we have a little more time to expend those funds, but we're in good shape.
Okay.
Any questions on the financials?
Okay, no questions? Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
So we're gonna move into our committee reports. First, we have public relations and advocacy.
Speak about Riverdale and the new manager. Richard Emery. Evie.
Okay. Madam Chair, Trustee Fabian and Trustee Harrison, you were there too.
No,
Uh, I'm so used to you being there.
Get that credit.
I see you at the Cowboy. I see you everywhere, so I thought you was there. Well, I guess it was just Trustee Fabian, myself, and the Director and Assistant director. We were at the Riverdale location, and we had the opportunity to visit the lab. And it was, I think it's the second day of the director of that library, Mr. Edie.
Yes.
Yes, we wanted to welcome him to our library system, and he was excited. And I guess we kind of toured all together, him too. But I think for me, what stood out was the lab. It's a space where members of our community come in, access the library. Also, it seemed like an opportunity if there's some teaching opportunity in that space, that's where it would take place. So I was pleased and excited to meet the new staff. Well, is it director? He's a director.
The new manager.
The new manager. The new manager. And look forward for the, the great things he's going to do with his team over there. Did you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off of what you said. I was just elated to see as we were there meeting the new manager that the director and deputy director walked in. We have to give Director Palm more than a shout out and praise because he came with his phone people tape.
Oh, yes.
And he was married from the couch to home. So that shows us that he is not a man that sits behind his keyboard. He actually got his tape measure and everything.
Oh my God, did you take pictures?
No, we didn't get a picture of that. We didn't get a picture of that.
Wow.
But he did a remarkable job, in my opinion, that he just didn't bulk up orders. He was there to look and see what needs to be done and to get it handled. And that speaks a long way for leadership. When you speak of an autocratic leader, you don't get anything done because it's selfish. When you speak about a democratic leadership, they are hands in and they're letting their assistants handle things as well in their absence. And so I think that we have a dynamic team that to be at the library at the same time. Trustee Andrews and I were there to see that work is getting done. So I give them kudos and praises.
I did take a picture of it. I had to delete it to make room for the but yeah. All right, go on.
Next time.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
That's great. And I did see that Coffee with the Librarian, that's something that y'all didn't mention. We had some of our trustees that attended that particular event. You want to talk about this? Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
You didn't mention it, so I'll make sure it's mentioned.
Go ahead with that.
So this last Coffee with the Librarian episode, we had District Attorney Tasha Mosley in our presence, and we chopped it up with her for roughly an hour. She was fantastic. She was candid. She was open. She was knowledgeable. She shared information that I think most citizens aren't aware of with the legal process and with her role as a district attorney. And so we're very intentional about inviting folks in that can give something to the community as a whole. We brought in CASA, we brought in the Solicitor General, we brought in the Deputy COO. And again, we will continue to highlight resources, programs, things that our community need to be aware of. And she was just on the list and she was fantastic. So we thank her again.
And if I can add, Madam Chair, that all of our citizens and patrons, this is on YouTube, the library YouTube.
Yes.
And please look at it because that information that's received during that Coffee with the Librarian is amazing. Particularly, well, all of them are amazing, but the more recent one with the district attorney, how she is so proactive in helping citizens not get in trouble. I mean, even from youth up to adults. And it just seems like she's more out of her office than she's in her office. So that clearly means that she has an amazing staff to be able to handle the things inside the office. But I salute her so much. She is so community driven.
Thank you for reminding me, Chair.
Thank you. And then I also had an opportunity to stop into the egg hunt that they had at the Morrow Branch Library. They had a really good community support at that event and a lot of different activities with the children. So it was good to see so many community members coming out to that event because you know how important it is to have our community to come in, see what we're offering at the library, and have an opportunity to take advantage of our great system. So,
Madam Chair,
yes,
before we go in, I guess it wouldn't fall under the committee, it would not fall under unfinished or new business, but let me just throw out there, Director Parham and I think Ms. Stan was there, but we had a little brief discussion, just one-on-one, just talking. We have to do something with our library now that Barnes and Noble is closing. And so I don't know what we can do to capture the citizens, those that, especially those that go on Sunday to get coffee and just read a book. But I just want to throw that out there and see exactly if, well, I'll just let
To your point about Barnes and Noble, I'm a huge fan. That was one of my places I like to hang out. I think we passed by a coffee at this library right around the corner.
It's a cafe.
It's a
cafe.
Yeah.
It's inside, yes.
Yeah, so is that something that the manager here is thinking about doing?
We
Like a
haven't had
cafe in the library?
Yeah, we haven't had that discussion yet. Part of the new project here, landscape project, was to build out the cafe area here to more of a vending area, not necessarily a cafe, but to offer some snacks or something. And we have natural lighting, the windows here for folks to come in and read at their leisure. But it is something that we can follow up with as far as the manager here, Ms. Oliver, in that coffee shop.
But that's just here, what about in the Morrow area? You know, but like I said, I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse. I just know that places due to close, I think it's the first week of May or second week of May. And hopefully we can get something, if we want to do this, get something out there now to the citizens so they know that we're gonna step up and pick up that slack where Barnes and Noble has left off. And if the staff over at Morrow is able to even handle a flux of people coming in.
And we'll have to sit down and discuss that, because
Yes.
again, I don't want to make promises I can't fulfill.
Right.
Right.
So,
And certainly the Morrow location doesn't have the space
Right.
that this location has, so there's some limitations.
but we'll get creative and collectively, hopefully we can come up with something.
That's right, thank you.
thank you. Finance Committee, which I don't think we have any members on that committee at this time. And the Bylaws Committee, do we have any members on that?
No, but if we want, it's under unfinished business, so do you want to wait until, because there needs to be a discussion, so I can go ahead and finalize the bylaws, so we can do a vote and get it on record. So do you want to wait until unfinished business, or?
Yeah, we will look at it
Okay,
during the unfinished business portion. We'll move on from that.
okay,
And then nominating, we don't have any members. So soon we are scheduled to go through our process for new committee members.
It's July.
So that's something we'll have to look into, with our current situation. Okay. So let's move on to our unfinished business. And we'll start with the MOU with the Library Foundation and follow up on that.
You should have received this afternoon an email with the proposed partnership for the foundation for Clayton County Library System. Are there any questions or any areas that we need to discuss or need clarity on? One of the highlights, I guess I'll say, or one of the components to the MOU actually piggybacks nicely with the Barnes and Noble discussion. At the headquarters library, we have space that was built out for a small cafe. And the foundation would essentially be running or manning that space, that area. The original intent was to have new books, works by independent authors, to have swag that people could buy, the community could buy, like mugs and cups and things of that nature, the bags, as well as snacks. There's a self-serving Keurig machine in the room already. We have cash register. The issue that we had run into was that we had no mechanism for taking in revenue. Everything that we would take in would go back to the county's general fund. By virtue of the foundation, by them manning it, the monies that would come into the foundation, which would then be repurposed back for library initiatives project. So that is one of the components of the MOU with the foundation.
Okay, so the funds that are taken in necessarily don't have to be funneled to the county, but it goes back to the foundation, and the foundation gives it back to the library system.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And the foundation would be responsible for the volunteers that would man that space. So that's also a big help, that we wouldn't have to have staff pulled from the desk or from other service areas to man that.
Okay, and the foundation, would it be the employees of the foundation to actually man the station? Or-
That I'm not sure. It could be just volunteers
Okay,
that they have selected and that they have trained to man that area.
Now, Director, you do have, under the impact, it talks about library staff assisting the foundation with planning, marketing, and volunteer support. So I know that, in some cases, we may not have the manpower to lend a lot of support, but I know you just mentioned volunteers.
Yes.
So they're kind of a plan in place to make sure it doesn't get out of balance, so to speak, because of the way it's stated. They could say, hey, well, you said that you're going to provide this.
And with where we are in space, further discussions, of course, need to take place. And as we move further along that path on different projects or different initiatives, those discussions will be had at that point. We're looking to do this. Here's what we have available. What is it that you will need in order for it to be successful? Here are the resources that the library can provide in order for that to be successful as well. So we will manage that as we move further along in that process.
okay, and then to throw that out, as Chairman just stated, would it be hours of operation would be when the hours of operation of the library is open?
Yes.
Okay, and
Yes.
be no tenure of closing, or if the library is open from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., they have to be open that entire time?
That is my expectation. And again, due to the resources that they have and what we will have, if we need to say that they only have volunteers to work until 7 p.m., then again, we will have to, compromise on that.
Okay.
At this point, I don't want to have it open beyond our current operating hours for security reasons and for other reasons. But if things should change down the line, then we can revisit that.
Yes.
So it's, make sure I'm understanding, the MOU is still a work in progress.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. But I did want to present it to you to see the elements that were contained in it. And if there were any questions, if there are no questions, then I will work with Ciola and we will work with our county legal to fully execute.
May I just ask a clarifying question, because I see two proposals in here, one with the Friends of Library
Yes.
and the other one with the Library Foundation, yes?
Yes.
We're just strictly talking about the Library Foundation right now.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Friends is coming up in a little bit.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute, we're getting a little bit confused over here.
Got it.
We'll be out of it.
All right, got it.
All right, thank you, Director. So next on the agenda is the finalizing the bylaws.
What I'd like to do, I sent out to everyone, because there is language in the current bylaws that talk about, live streaming. And we need to decide for sure, do we want to continue actual live streaming, which means real time? Do we want to have delayed streaming, which means it is not live? Or do we want to eliminate the streaming altogether? And that's where I need everybody's input. What do you want to, do you want to continue live streaming or public streaming? Or nothing at all, opinions? Yes.
I truly think that, and I'm gonna go back to a statement that Trustee Miller said at one of the past meetings. When is there a good opportunity and space for us to discuss things that don't need to go into executive session? Or again, maybe sensitive or maybe kind of emotion filled? When, in what form do we have for those types of conversations? I think in a live streamed environment, it's difficult. I do think that if the meetings were recorded, then we have some editing capability for those things that we don't necessarily want live streamed or broadcast all across the net. We have more control over the conversation. That's not to say to eliminate some form of electronic representation of the meeting itself, but it gives us a little more control when those discussions get a little heated or a little off kilter. One of the very last meetings we had a couple months ago, it was very tenuous. And I don't think that the entire world should be beholden to our old school, our dirty laundry essentially. So just my opinion.
Well, as long as we provide the information to those who are unable to make it, so that they can still be in the loop, so to speak, so they are aware of all the greatness that's happening. I don't like to operate in the dark, so to speak. So I'm okay as long as we do have some mechanism in place where if you're not here physically, you will be able to review it at your leisure.
And I concur with that. I like that idea because, as director said, there is some sensitive information that may come out, but we still want to be transparent. We want the public to know what we're doing. And that continuing with the streaming will do that. So we'll take the non-streaming off the table. So it's just a matter of live streaming or delay streaming, which still puts it out to the public and it can be looked at. And I think we concurred with being online for a year. I think in the
That's what
previous
it said.
meeting, yeah.
Archive.
Yeah, and that way we're still communicating with the public and with the staff that is not able to make it to the meetings.
I concur.
Concur with that?
I concur. And as long as we in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, we're good.
So you're saying we will continue with the live streaming? No, okay.
No live stream. He will record
Oh,
live,
recording it, okay.
but it won't be posted until,
Because
yeah, it can be edited with taking sensitive information out, sensitive topics or statements.
I wonder if we say that we might edit the recording, just how our the public would feel about that and how they would take it. So that's just kind of a thought that I have. And I don't know if we don't want to, because when I came, just for myself, I came on during COVID, so obviously we were online. And so prior to COVID, the meetings were not streamed, correct?
They were not streamed.
They were not
I was
streamed.
here.
Okay. And so I think we decided to keep it streaming because we had some people watching it, a lot of the staff members watching, the community members watching it. And I think there is an appetite for just knowing what's going on in the meeting. So I would have pause personally with recording and then editing it. Like if we recorded it and then delayed putting it up, and I do understand the sensitivity part, but I just think about all the things we've gone through with staff and everything, to the appearance that it may have.
Yeah.
So that's just my thought.
And our virtual services librarian just brought to my attention that he's aware that if we record it, we can't edit it. We have to put the full recording up,
Okay.
which again is fine. I think the position I was speaking in terms of were some of the things that were going on during the meetings that didn't have us in the best light. That we
More of a
could-
personal level as opposed to business.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's what I was talking about as far as editing, but yeah, if we are,
Well,
Sorry, I'm almost wondering if we're proposing to put something in place because of instances that happened that didn't put us in a nice light. That's one. Two, I'm wondering if there's a world, and if this may be considered editing, because I was leaning towards the delayed post. If there's like something that comes before it, not a trigger warning, but like a, hey, this is not like a trigger warning, but something along the lines of just like, here's a synopsis of here's the information that you'll find in here, enjoy if you like. That might still be considered editing. Not to say that, oh, they were arguing on here, but like, here's an agenda that was covered during this particular meeting, and then you can decide whether or not you want to watch it. I also think that our forms of communication that we've been doing thus far has been really helpful in getting information between the board members out and responsive. So I agree with both, but I'm wondering if that's an editing thing, if is it considered editing if we were to say like.
So if I have a technical difficulty with the audio or the video, I can take that out. But whether we live stream, which people watch concurrently, or I record it and we put it up later, we have to show everything that I've recorded. That's just public information.
So it can't be, it has to be, hi, this is what we're going over,
Yeah.
before, and now we're going to start. Got it. Okay.
I was going to speak to, you was talking about conduct, it's decorum. And I think that's something that if we don't do that ourselves, I've been on boards where it's written in how you're supposed to conduct yourself during meetings. So I do remember that meeting last time and don't want to relive it. But I think it was.
Sorry.
But I think it's decorum. It's how we respect each other and have a respect for our community, because we're the best. I see us as being the best example, especially when the lenses are on us. So we need to, conduct ourselves accordingly. So if that's something that we have to write, well, we're adults, and I don't think we need to write it in the bylaws how we should conduct ourselves. But I do know there's other places where it is written and, we're reminded how we need to do, act. But,
Yeah, and also the numbers, like right now, we only have 7 people watching us right now. And as I go back into some of the previous YouTubes, the numbers are very low as far as who's viewing. They rarely get over 20, 30, we don't get into the hundreds.
I thought you was gonna say.
200, yeah, I wish.
Wait a
And then our door is always open. Anybody can come to these meetings. We don't close it nor lock the doors. But I'm just saying that the viewer, there are not many people watching, but hopefully that will increase as we move forward. So I'm getting then that, did you, okay, yeah, right here. That's right now, yeah. So if, so we're gonna keep it in the bylaws to live stream?
Well, I don't know, I think we were leaning towards, Madam Chair, where I think the concern was, it's okay, we wanna remain transparent,
Absolutely.
but I please correct me if I'm misspeaking, certainly don't wanna speak for you. I think your concern was about transparency. So as long as we're remaining transparent, and I think, we just heard that you cannot edit, but you can put it up, and so they probably won't see it immediately. It'll probably be the next day or something like that. I'm okay with it, but like you said, I'm all about transparency.
Sure.
And so,
And let me touch on that. That's what I said a few minutes ago about the Freedom of Information Act, which is open records. That in my tenure dealing with that, you have to give them the entire thing. It couldn't be edited. And if we start editing, which I have no problem with it, because I don't have anything to hide. I don't have anything to hide when it comes to putting things out there. But as Madam Chair said, it's the appearance that is required. If you got the appearance, and you have to do nothing as long as you got the appearance. So, but I can go either way.
Let me toss this out and ask Andre, what would be the quickest that you could put up a recorded meeting?
The next morning. So we have our meetings on Tuesday evening. I was like, give me some time to get in by 10 a.m. On the Wednesday after the meeting is the quickest. I can say, give me an hour to put everything together.
Well, again, speaking to the perception of impropriety, whatever the quickest turnaround for that, if that is in fact what was agreed upon, he can have it up as soon as the next morning. But again, whatever the board at this point.
Prior to COVID, it wasn't streamed at all?
Not at all. No. And I think I was the only one in the room that was here during that time. Not at all. We just had our meetings open to the public. And we met the requirements. We're not required to live stream, but we are required to post the minutes.
And the agenda.
yeah.
The minutes and the
You mean
agenda
this
are required. Yes. Once it's approved, yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. And there was no posting of videos prior to COVID either? Would that free up space, data space, and?
It's really not a matter of data space. It's a
Okay.
matter of, do you prefer to have videos? That is an addition
Okay.
to the public of the minutes and the agenda.
Oh.
So any video is an addition to.
Oh.
The official record
Yes.
are the minutes.
Well, I'm gonna put on the table, that's a video at all then. If we didn't do it beforehand and it was because of COVID, which makes sense, right? It makes sense to have it live streaming during COVID so that everybody can participate. If we are meeting the requirements by posting the minutes, posting reports, I know I've missed a couple of things, but the social media presence has increased. I think we're meeting the requirements, so I'm putting on the table to not record at all.
Now, looking at last month's meeting, there were only 55 views. Got 300,000 citizens in Clayton County. So, it's a decision, what do we want to do?
Oh,
We
Director,
have to make that decision today. Well,
No,
because.
and we can't vote.
No,
Right,
no.
but,
Oh, got it.
well, but you make perfect sense. I think, I was thinking that we had to,
Right.
and then you saying that we didn't do it in the beginning.
Absolutely not.
But-
And the only reason we had to Zoom was because of COVID.
Right.
And we could only Zoom when the governor has declared an emergency. That's how we were able to do that. Anything else, the state library says that the only way we can Zoom now, if a member is sick and we have an active quorum live, then we can Zoom the sick member in. And that's written in their bylaws.
but that six member can't vote.
Right. So this is what I'll do. I will write a complete version of us staying live. I will write a complete version, which is only gonna take, a couple of paragraphs of us, posting later. And a version with no live streaming, no streaming at all. And that'll give us time to think, and everything else will be done. I think the only language would be on a decision whether it's gonna be live streamed or not.
Gotcha.
Yeah, everything else is pretty much done.
That works. Okay.
Director
Any other
Pond,
comments or questions?
Director Pond,
Yes.
just off the top of your head, how many registered people we have in Clayton County and the Pines? Just off the top of your head.
We serve a population of close to 300,000. I would say Pines members, a third of that, maybe 100,000.
And only how many people, how many views?
Well, last month, we kind of expected more views last month, was 55.
So now you
And
have-
tonight, we had 7, but now we have 6.
so that's not even
Oh,
four.
I'm sorry. 6 person.
Well, we know a couple people will miss it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll just go ahead and generate it in a final script, and then when we come back, we'll have one that we can vote on.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
Madam Chair, real quick, was there another discussion point around the number of trustee members?
Yes, so I did reach out. See one more paper. And I asked about that, and so they said essentially it is, for most parts, it's our county leadership that could decide. They said that though we can establish the number of appointments that work for us, and our funding agencies, and we have to work with our county leadership if we're looking to establish a new number of appointments. And we possibly could do that to be able to reduce the number of people on the board. And that we should, if we do that, we would have to keep that number odd. And then there was some language in the handbook about the minimum number. But other than that, it is something that's possible if our Board of Commissioners is open to it. And so that leaves it kind of open there. And they also said with that, we'd have to get with legal just to make sure, everything's on the up and up.
Yes.
So it's possible. I don't think it would be a quick fix. But that's just my thought based on the information.
So the way we're looking now, we're still at 11 members. Okay.
And that could be something that is kind of exploratory, where we could kind of see if our commissioners have an appetite for that, they're willing to do that. I do know that they are a little bit behind on some of the
Oh,
appointments.
yeah.
So we don't know exactly how long it would take to get some new appointments. And that is one of our agenda items, so we're almost moving into that one. So let's first close up this agenda item with the bylaws. So does anybody have any questions? Because we're kind of crossing over there, or comments about the bylaws, okay? So we're gonna move on to our new business, and that first item there is to talk about the new board appointee recommendations. So thank you to everyone who provided different candidates that can be considered by our Board of Commissioners to be appointed to some of the open areas that we have on our board, because as you know, we do have 5 openings, and we definitely, to our community, we definitely want board members that will be engaged, that will be able to attend our meetings and do some of the work that we have to do outside of these meetings. Any of us here would be happy to speak with you about that. Are there other questions, comments, concerns about that? Like I said, the commissioners are behind on the appointments, so we just gotta be a little patient with that to see when and who they will appoint, because it is their decision.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I would love to be the one to step up and say that, the resumes that we have now that were submitted by some of our board members, I'll be glad to submit that to our commissioners and to the clerk of the commission so that they can go ahead and look at our prospects, our recommendations, because they do have a hard time trying to figure out who in the community should do, should be serve on different boards. And this is a working board, we are a governing board, public, and there is work that needs to be done. We vote on the budget, we vote on policies, and we hire and fire the director. So, it's more than just showing up at a meeting once a month or quarterly, look at reports, vote on them, and go home. So just so that you know, but I will be glad to submit those names to each commissioner.
So not to cut you off, but I have done that.
Okay,
So I've
great.
submitted everyone that has shared the information and the additional name that we have
Awesome.
to the Board of Commissioners so that they can look at that and make decisions.
Very
If
good.
we're good on that, and if you do have other individuals, please feel free to, send their information. A resume is helpful because it helps them to be able to look at that information to see, hey, what are they bringing to the table? And we want to have diversity on our board, and trying to round out some of the areas that maybe, we could use more strength in with people's expertise is what I'm referring to.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Is there an age requirement for a board member?
I think you have to be 18 or older.
Okay.
That's a good question.
I'd just be curious to see if we
I don't know
can,
if
if we
I-
get a young, get a college student or a high school student on, to represent the youth.
Well, we have not interns, we have an ambassador program for teens.
Right, that's the program that we discussed a couple months ago, yes?
Yes.
That's why I'm asking to see if we can leverage some of those scholars that Jonesboro High, right, is where they went, or?
They're from,
Oh,
all
yeah,
over.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
to just get diversity on the board with age, with, just different, equitable. So I'd be curious to see it.
Let me look into that.
Okay.
I'm not aware
Yeah.
of minimum age or maximum age, but I will look into that.
It makes sense for 18 because they would have to be able to be,
Yeah.
here and whatnot. But
18-year-olds, okay.
18 or older.
Yeah, I thought I read it somewhere, yeah.
That's a great point, though, to
Yeah,
diversify.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
keep the library fresh.
And just
and-
ethnicity, yeah.
And then we can do, the city of Jonesboro have, junior councilmen and
Exactly.
junior mayors.
That's exactly
So,
what
you
I'm
know,
thinking.
Another option is, junior library board members.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, okay.
Okay,
Good idea.
good idea. Other questions or comments on that particular item?
I guess just to kind of clarify, I'm not sure if any of those scholars are 18 that are the interns to get to.
We would have to check.
Okay, just to start looking in, I don't know of any 18-year-olds at this point.
Right.
But maybe that's something we can put out to high schools, the youth service and the community outreach could start doing the connection with that to recruit and find potential 18-year-olds. that will-
And some may be graduating soon, so,
Mhm.
or turning 18. All right, so our next agenda item is the revised MOU with the Friends of the Library, Friends of Literacy.
Now we're here. I'm ready.
You ready? So yes, the partnership request before you it's a revision of duties and responsibilities that the Friends of the Library, doing business as Friends of Literacy, and the library system have worked out. For several years now, the partnership between the two organizations has been somewhat distanced. And this MOU is an effort to kind of bring it back together for some collaborative programming projects and things of that nature.
So is this Janice, Akura's group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Are there any questions or concerns?
Is there no questions? Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
All right. And so is there a need for executive session tonight? No? Okay. And so with that, may I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Oh, we can't vote. That's
Oh.
right. So,
Hey, that's
we
right.
can't vote.
It's nice.
So it's live streaming forever. You're with us.
And just put on record, I got an email from, trustee Payne stating that she had to work late tonight, so that's why she didn't make the meeting.
Oh,
Okay, so what we'll have to do, in this case is, I guess we're kind of pushing some of this stuff to our next meeting. The good thing is we've worked through a lot of things, and then we'll have the bylaws come in to us so we can work through that, and hopefully we can, everybody, make sure you come, so we can vote on, these items, and,
Yeah, and this is what I'm going to push with phone calls and emails to our commissioners, is that, we should be able to get, appointees on the agenda for the third Tuesday, which is this month. We should be able to, you know, at the most, their vote for the first, meeting in May. So, I
hopefully, yeah, it doesn't hurt to, you know, nudge a little, you know, but, of course, we know that's not up to us, right?
right.
And so with that, we're gonna adjourn, but of course, no vote to adjourn.
Right.
Thank you all for
And
being
it's
here.
7:09.
Thank you, 7:09, and yes, if you haven't signed in, please make sure you do that, and then grab some of the food over there.
Yes.
Thank y'all for providing that.
Thank you all very much.
All right,
We appreciate
have
it.
a good evening.
So sorry.